And we have 1 minute to transition to the next presentation. Sheila, are you ready to share your screen?
If yeah, I'm ready. Give me
All right.
1 minute.
And Sheila, I actually forgot that we had to do the final announcements of the 3 organizations. So as you get ready, I'm going to share my screen one more time and introduce the partners. And so
okay, I'm sharing my screen. You can go ahead and do the introductions, then I can start.
Okay. Do you see my screen? Because I'm also sharing.
Oh, I'll stop sharing. Sorry about that.
No, that's fine. So if you just join us, we are now going to head into the managing your financial statements and leveraging data section. As I mentioned, Sheila will be handling the financial statements part. We expected owner Kara, but he's run into a personal emergency. And so this morning, I had to think of something to fill the gap. So I'll be presenting on the fly, and so bear with me if there are any glitches. And for those of you who've been saying you want to be founders and entrepreneurs, that's one lesson. You know, when there's a personal emergency or inability of a colleague to show up, how prepared are you to cover their tracks? That's a good sign that you probably want to be a founder. So at this juncture, welcome again to the Establishing Technology Footprints for the Advancement of Agribusinesses series of workshops targeted at the inhabitants in the Ahafo region of Ghana. My name is Efio Usufofie, and I am the founder of Coders Who Travel. Coders Who Travel is a United States-based 501c3 nonprofit organization with a vision to inspire and advance the careers of computer and mathematical programmers in less developed regions of the world. Our mission is to deliver project-based knowledge, world-class work experience, and career-defining professional communities. Our scope is on both underserved communities in advanced countries, as well as emerging regions in developing countries like Ghana. This is a timeline of the highlights of our activities we have conducted since we filed for our NPO in December 2016. But time will not allow me to touch on all of them, but certainly it has been a mix of great adventures through to 2021. Currently, we would like to relaunch a Veterans Can Code initiative in the US and internationally extend our travels to rural towns like the Ahafo region we are targeting today. If at any point you would like to support us today and beyond, these are the multiple ways of giving to Coders Who Travel. Your donation goes towards key items for dispatching coders and empowering a community like laptops, projectors, internet, transportation, accommodation, etc. expenses. With me, partner representatives, Carla Villalobos representing Microsoft, and Honorable Nkobia Moamensa representing the Amen Foundation. Shout outs to our social media partners, the Insifu Group, Baobab Entrepreneur, and 2112 Charity. During the program, as you get insights, we encourage you to share on social media with your family and friends. And please monitor the chat for the relevant hashtags. Kobe, if you can hear me, over to you.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I'm Engineer Kobia Moamensa. I'm the founder of Amen Foundation. Amen literally means Amwa, Mensa, Education, Nurturing, and Development. Foundation. We've been operating in the Ahafo region, which is a rural enclave in Ghana as of 2012. Ahafo is primarily an agriculture-based region, poverty-stricken, high rates of youth unemployment. So what we do is to focus on education, healthcare, and other issues. And bottom line is to help improve the livelihoods of the unemployed youth. We've been involved in numerous activities, provision of scholarships to smart kids. We've also carried out health screenings, catering, looking after about 10,000 residents of Ahafo, providing free healthcare and medication. We always look forward to having great partnerships, and honestly, it's been a blessing today. I don't know if I should add this part. It's been a blessing today because of where we are located. It's getting the caliber of expertise that we're having today. It's like a miracle. So we thank Coders Who Travel, Microsoft, and everybody here for letting this thing happen. So we say amend and we say passion in action. It's about the passion and it's got to be in action. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kobe. And you're welcome. You're very welcome. Kobe is actually my cousin, and we all hail from the Ahafo region by virtue of our parents being born there. So this is a great opportunity. And we plan to go to everybody's hometown if the opportunity avails itself, because we are coders who travel and we like to travel. Carla, your turn.
How can I follow that? I mean, we're not cousins. We're brothers and sisters.
Yes, you are. You are a sister.
I'm a sister. Welcome everyone. For those of you who are just joining us, good afternoon, good evening. I am with Microsoft and I am a community development specialist, and it is amazing to be here and to be partnering with AFIA and coders.org to really support this mission. Part of what I do at Microsoft is centered around education, education for the underserved communities locally, nationally, globally. And we also we also help nonprofits connect with our Microsoft Give program in match and volunteering time, donations, and we connect them with philanthropies to obtain software grants and special pricing for nonprofits. So AFIA, thank you for having me here. This is a great experience.
You're welcome, Carla. And now we are ready for managing your financial statements and leveraging data. Sheila.
Hi, AFIA, I'm here. I'm gonna share my screen. But before that, oh my God, AFIA, it's been such an amazing time this afternoon with everyone. I've learned so much, and I hope everyone here has learned a lot, because even just from listening to Barry and Joseph's presentation, just listening to them, I had to go back and look at my slides and say, okay, can I apply some of the things that they were talking about? And I was able to go back and I audited my slides, and I was like, I think I did a pretty good job. So Barry and Joseph, I would like to get your feedback on my slides as well. But as always, there's so much room for improvement.
No problem. I know.
Okay, so we saved the best for last, which is talking about financial statements and data. those are the two most exciting topics in the world. I'm sure half of you are rolling your eyes going, So I'm gonna try and make this as exciting as possible. Talking about finance and talking about balance sheets and income statements are not the most exciting things, but there's so much we can learn from financial statements. So when Efia asked me to present on financial statements, I figured, why not? And also, just as a disclaimer, when I put these presentations together, my focus was on the individuals who were in the Ahafo region, given that, so what I did was I tailored it and I made a presentation a little higher level than usual. So at the end of this, a lot of colleges spend months, sometimes even a whole semester on financial statement. So this is an abridged version of a financial statement. My intention is to give an overview of what financial statements are and what they look like, what are the key components and key elements in a financial statement. Definitely open to questions if anybody has any. So to get started, what are financial statements? So basically, financial statement is a reporting of a business's financial activities. It helps you understand how the company is doing, how the company is performing. So I think it was Barry in his presentation, he said during a presentation, it's not what's on the screen. Financial statements also do tell you a lot. You can attend a conference, you can attend meetings, listen to CEOs talk about their companies. But if you read the financial statements and you look into that, sometimes it can tell you a whole different story. So it's very important for us to be able to understand what a financial statement is. And as an entrepreneur, having financial statements help you understand your financial strength, how you're doing as a company. Typically in the US and in other countries, a lot of publicly traded companies are required to file a financial statement. So as a small business, you may not, once you haven't IPO'd or gone public, there isn't that requirement to have financial statement, but it's still good. It's still a good tool for you to see the financial health of your company. A lot of financial statements, when they are written, there's usually written according to certain financial accounting standards. So in Europe, and I believe in Ghana, we use the IFRS, which is the International Financial Reporting Standards. In the US, they have to use the generally accepted accounting principle, which is the GAAP. So those are the principles that help determine how the financial statement should be written. And once for financial companies that are publicly traded, they typically would be required to be audited because an auditor has to audit their financial statement to show that the company is representing accurately the information that they have in there. So that's in a nutshell what a financial statement is. To prepare a financial statement, there are so many tools out there. In the past, a lot of folks would have your accountant will have a piece of paper, draw the lines, and write all your accounts, your assets, your liabilities. But in today's world, there are so many resources out there, and some of them are even free resources that you can use to prepare a financial statement. So in keeping with the title of this session, wanted to introduce some example resources that you can use in preparing your financial statement. So there's QuickBooks, which is one of the most common application or system that folks use in a lot of small businesses, and even some mid-sized businesses use, or even big companies too, would use a QuickBook in helping them create their financial statements. You can use also Microsoft Excel to help you draw your financial statements. There's also Google Sheets that you could leverage and other resources out there. So there are always, if as a small business entrepreneur, if you want to develop your financial statement, sometimes it's as easy as just going into Google a financial statement. There are so many resources out there to help you. There are financial statement templates out there, and you can start with an Excel, a basic Excel function, and just put in your tables and start putting together your financial statements. So today I wanted to talk about the three popular primary financial statements that a lot of companies have. So there is the income statement, there is the balance sheet, and there's the cash flow. So the income statement basically tells you about the financial performance of the company, which is really your profit and loss statements. There is the balance sheet, which tells you the financial health of the company. Then we have the cash flow statement, which tells you how you are managing your cash inflow and cash outflow for your company. All these very important tools and resources for you to manage your financial performance of your company. Okay, so on the next slide here, I pulled together those three, and I included a fourth one, which I will not be spending a lot of time talking through. Just wanted to create that awareness that there's a fourth one, which is a statement of equity. This statement of equity is just showing the stakeholders the change in their retained earnings or the beginning equity and ending equity for a period of time. So just wanted to introduce that there's a fourth one, but the three primary ones are the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow statement. Okay, so starting with the income statement. So like I said, the income statement basically is a summary of your business revenue and your expenses over a period of time. So unlike a balance sheet, which is as of a period of time, the income statement is telling you how you're doing, like the income you are making at the end of a particular period. So for instance, what I put together here was just a basic income statement. So I know there was a guy who talked about when we started earlier on, was it Albert Owusu, who said he had a cell phone business that he was thinking about wanting to understand the whole venture capital funding and also versus getting a loan. So if Albert, you are on here, or anybody who is on here who is a small business, for your income statement, right? So the first piece is we need to understand what revenue we are making. So for instance, if say, let's say we have an individual, Mr. Kofi Mensah, who has started a business. He spends 50 Ghana cedis to go and buy, he wants to get into cocoa farming. So he spends 50 Ghana cedis to buy the cocoa seeds. Then at the end of the season, he makes 2,000 Ghana cedis. So the money after he's harvested and sold the cocoa seeds to whoever is making the purchases, and he makes that 2,000. So that 2,000 Ghana cedis that he's making from the sale of his cocoa beans would be classified as the revenue. The cost of goods sold basically is the cost of the, how much it cost him to get those cocoa beans. So that's what we reference here as our cost of goods sold. So after that, you subtract your revenue, your cost of goods sold from your revenue to get your gross profit. So the gross profit is, okay, before we factor in expenses, this is how much we've made from the 500 cedis cocoa beans that we purchased. Then he probably spends, say, 300 Ghana cedis on labor. At the end of, then once you do that, you subtract your expenses from your gross profit. That'll give you your operating income. Once you have your operating income, next is you subtract your interest income, or if there's any taxes that you need to subtract from any taxes that you've had to pay, then you come up with your net income. So this is a really basic high level example of an income statement that an individual who is starting, small business owner, can utilize. For any of these areas or these elements in here, we can dig deeper. There's more to it. But from a high level, I wanted to introduce to you what an income statement looks like and what are the key elements that goes into an income statement. Okay, moving on to the next item that I wanted to introduce here was the balance sheet. So over here, like I said, the balance sheet is as of a certain date. So think of a balance sheet as, you remember in Ghana growing up, we have the seashore where one person sits on one side and another person sits on the other side, and you keep trying to balance going up and down. So the balance sheet is very similar to that. So what it's showing is your assets and your liabilities. So your assets will be sitting on one end of the balance beam, and your liabilities have to sit on the balance beam, will be on the opposite side. You typically want both the left side and the right side to balance. So what does the asset part entail? So the left side is your assets, which is your total assets. Within assets, you have your current assets and your long-term assets. So what do I mean by current assets? Current assets are those assets that, like cash, that you could always convert to, or like any asset that you can convert to cash within a year. So anything that's liquid. So think about cash being one of those. Inventory. So inventory is if you have your cocoa stored in storage and something should happen and you need money quickly, you're able to sell those bags of cocoa quickly to make money. If you have supplies, you have certain things that you can quickly sell them and make money, or you could quickly get money out of those things, turn them around and make some money. Those are items that are classified as your current assets. Then we have the long-term assets, and those are the items that is you cannot easily, it's a little harder to convert into cash within a year. So say some of your long-term investments, your property, plant, equipment, which could be, say, the land that you're selling, you have like 20 acres of land, you run into trouble, you need money quickly, you want to sell 5 acres. Sometimes it might take a year or two for you to get a buyer. So those big ticket things that it's not easy to convert to cash quickly, those things are termed as your long-term assets. So I have here examples of that to the right side of my screen. Then to the next, so we just talked about the left side of the balance beam. So to the right side of the balance beam, that's where you have your liabilities. So we have on that side, there's the liabilities and your stakeholders' equity. So what's your liabilities and what's your stakeholders' equity? Within the liabilities are pretty much things you owe. So assets on your left side are things you own, right? I own something. You own your cash, you own your inventory, you own your property, your land, your equipment. Then liabilities on your right-hand side are things you owe. So monies you owe people. So that's what you always want to make sure that your assets and your liabilities are balanced. So focusing on liabilities. So there are two parts to liabilities. We have your current liabilities. Those are things that you need to settle within a year. So as a cocoa farmer, you need to pay your employers. You probably owe some money that you still haven't paid for. So liabilities are things you owe. So those are your short-term or current liabilities. Then you have your long-term liabilities are monies that you have to pay within a longer period of time. So that'll be your long-term loans. So for instance, you go to the bank and ask for a 5-year loan, right? For say 1 million Ghana cedis. So that's a long-term liability. So then afterwards, you calculate your total liabilities. Then the second part within the right side of the balance beam is your equity. So within equity, equity will include like your capital contributions. So if you guys remember at the beginning, again, going back to Albert's question, as a small business owner, what should he do regarding getting cash to fund his business? Is it better to go to the bank and get a loan, or is it better to get equity? And I think you guys did a phenomenal job in explaining to him the importance of trying to use equity to fund your business. So equity will be, yeah?
Just one double check. Is this the correct slide?
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, that's a good question. So I just finished talking about the income statement. That's okay. This one right here. Okay, so I just moved on to the balance sheet.
Okay.
And I talked about the current assets and long-term assets.
Okay.
I also talked about the current liabilities and long-term liabilities. So I just moved into equity right here. Ifya, you just made me realize that I failed in my presentation.
No.
And Joseph's presentation, if you couldn't follow, I'm in trouble.
I'm with.
What did Joseph say?
That day is long for me too, so maybe I should have seen equity myself.
Okay. Okay. I guess the jury is still out. So we are in the equity section, which, like I said, it's on the right side of the balance beam. So we have total assets, we have total liabilities, and we have equity. So this is what I was describing here, that equity could entail money that we owe to the owners of the company. So if you decided to use equity to fund your business, right? Have family members fund your business and you decide to give them a percentage of your business, that's equity. And at the end of the month or whatever agreements you have at the end of the quarter, you probably want to pay them through dividends, that equity. Equity also includes retained earnings, which basically is your net income, the money. So at the end of every quarter, when you make your net income, you don't just go and spend it all. Sometimes you reinvest it into the company. And that's where we call it the retained earnings. You retain your earnings into the business. So that's where we have retained earnings here. So we have total liabilities and equity here, which always has to balance with your total assets. If your numbers are off, you know that you have a problem. So every time you're doing your balance sheet, you always make sure the cardinal rule is your total assets should always be the same, equal your total liabilities and shareholders' equity. All right. I hope that was exciting enough. Moving on to the next financial statement. This is the cash flow statement. So the cash flow statement basically digs a little deeper. It gives you a view of how cash is being utilized within your business. So you want to make sure that understand how is cash flowing in and how is cash flowing out of your business. That should help you to make some sound business decisions, such as perhaps you want to scale up. You have 20 acres of cocoa farms. You want to scale up and get 20 more. You look at your cash statement, say, how are we doing? Okay, we do have a cash position is pretty good. So we actually have the money to be able to go in and either purchase or get a loan for to scale up on our business. So that's where you look at your cash, cash flow statement. So within the cash flow statement, there are three main primary components to it. There's the cash flow from operating activities, there's a cash flow for investing activities, and there's a cash flow for financing activities. Then at the end of all that, when you figure out all those things out, you get your net increase in tax, increase or decrease in cash. If it's a decrease, that means that you are actually losing, you are losing a lot of money. But if it's positive, that means, of course, you're making good money, you have good cash flow balance. So I think if you don't mind, give me 5 more minutes to dig a little deeper, just giving examples of the 3 different categories, if that's okay.
That's okay.
So thank you. So cash flow from operating activities, those will be basically the money the revenue you are generating from the business, which include the cash you're receiving from your customers, such as money from your sale of your cocoa, cash you've paid to your employees, cash you've paid to your suppliers, if you've paid cash for interest or taxes, all this would be considered cash flow from operating activities. Also, for cash flow from investing activities, that will be basically monies that you spent in investing. So that's purchase of your big harvesters or big lot of extra land, or sale of long-term assets. So if you have land and you want to sell, you have your 20 acres and you want to sell 5 acres and make some more money. When you sell that 5 acres, the money, the additional cash you've gotten, that'll all be captured in the cash flow from investing activities. Then the last piece to it is your cash flow from financing activities, which will be your long debt payments, common stocks issued, and dividends paid. Then from that, you'll be able to know whether you're doing well from a cash standpoint or not. Then typically what you do is you have your beginning cash from the beginning of the year, and you compare that to cash from the end of the year. So you gain a little more cash. So that means your position is good. At the beginning of the year, you had 20,000 Ghana cedis. You made 1,800 Ghana cedis. So at the end of the year, your cash position is 21,800 Ghana cedis, which is a positive. So that means your cash position is pretty solid. In summary, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with everyone. If anybody has any questions, definitely feel free to send them through the chat or ask, and I'll be more than happy to discuss them.
And I also put Sheila's email in the chat in mind for follow-up questions to this presentation. Wow, Sheila, I've learned a lot. You know, I'll outsource to an accountant for the financial statements at Coders Who Travel, but I feel like you now help me get closer to understanding what he typically sends me. So I appreciate it. And let's show some reactions to Sheila's presentation. Yay, thank you.
I got a thumbs up from Kobe, so.
Yay, and clouds and hearts, and yeah.
I think Joseph approved my presentation, so that's
that's the main thing.
Yeah. I know, right?
The main thing. Yeah. All right. So this was the point that one of our board members, Ona Kara, was supposed to present. He was going to present by, you know, taking a financial statement document, creating plots out of it, and also looking at competitor information, such as annual reports, and would have done lovely plots with them. However, he ran into a personal emergency. And one of the things you do as a founder is to fill the gap. And so today I'm being called to do that. Like I said, I only had this morning. And so this is going to be on the fly. What you see are clips of pictures of what is called a dashboard. A dashboard is the summary tool that executives, if you're a founder or an entrepreneur, you are the executive of your company, use to make decisions. Because of its graphical component, it makes it very friendly towards executives rather than presenting just numbers. And so I'm going to try and replicate this dashboard, which are the pictures that you see, by going through a sales data file. I would have loved to customize it for the Ahafo example with cocoa, timber, and plantains, but did not have enough time to do that. So this is a sales data called Northwinds Traders. It's found in Microsoft Access database. It comes with it, and you can pull an Excel file from there. So allow me to share my screen as I go through this demo of building a dashboard. So I'm going to open my sales file. When you pull the data from Microsoft Excel, you just get a list of data. Typically, as your business grows, you want to create a tracker of items like the product name, the sales you got, the employee ID, if you do have employees, even if it's just you, give yourself an ID. Product ID corresponds to product name. Customer ID is an identification for your customers, the year of purchase, the month, the quarter. And then Excel has additional functions like month of quarter and month name. Then there's the category of products that you are buying or that you are selling. In this example, the Northwind traders are selling beverages, dry fruits and nuts, baked goods and mixes. The product is, please do not use annotate right now. The product is beer, dried plums, dried pears, apples, and whatnot. And then, because this is a fictitious data, there aren't customer names, but there are company AA symbolizing an actual company in real life. Then there's company D, company L, company H, C, 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 F, and what have you. And then there's which state was the order purchased from. We have Nevada, we have New York, we have Oregon, Illinois, Utah, Wisconsin, Oregon, and what have you. And then for this purpose, all the sales came from the United States. In your case, your country will be Ghana. And since Ghana doesn't use state, it will be regions if you wanted to create something like that. Now that you have your raw data, the next step to creating a great dashboard is to build something called an Excel table. I'm going to quickly show how you do an Excel table. You click on the intersection between your row and your column. That highlights everything for you. And then you click on insert and you click on table. And then you can say, my table has headers. And in this case, it's true, my table has headers. The address, which is the $1:$1048576, represents the first cell address through to the very last cell address that will be at your bottom right corner. And so you click on OK. It says, I'm about to do something that will affect things, and I'm fine with that. Uh-oh. I should have listened to the prompt. All right, so that's how you create an Excel table. I can undo it so I can get my raw data back. Uh-oh. Please bear with. I got away with it one time. All right, So it's back to its original because I don't need it. I already created an Excel table before we did. And notice the difference is that at the top, you see arrows in the Excel table. The Excel table puts a constraint on your raw data and makes sure there aren't any unnecessary blanks. And that's why an Excel table is needed. Now we're going to go to create a pivot table. To create a pivot table, you click on that intersection and it highlights everything again. Then you go to insert and then you click on pivot table. It's going to give you some options, whether you have to put the contents of the pivot table. Now hang tight if you don't understand what a pivot table, because doing actually shows it than talking. So it's asking me, do I want to put the pivot table in an existing worksheet or do I want to put it in a new worksheet? And my answer is new. And this has begun creating the pivot tables. It just summarizes the table in a very great fashion, such that you are able to quickly summarize things. Again, I apologize for the annotate stuff that is on my screen. Maybe there's a way to clear it, but I want to be into the presentation instead. So I am going to pick a category and put it in rows. And you see the magic. As soon as I did that, the information has started summarizing on the pivot table here. Then I'm going to pick sales and put it at summation of values. And so it summarized my values by the category. And it allows me to update the row name instead of the de facto, the default title that it brought. But I also want to do another sales, which shows me the percentage of this number by the grand total, because just looking at the numbers, I'm not able to have a relative sense of how these numbers are doing. And so I'm going to put sales again after here. Now, the first sales variable, I don't need to do anything to it. But when I want to get the percentage, I need to do something else. I need to go to the value settings field and click on that small arrow and that opens it. Then you see that it chose the sum for the first one, and it also chose the sum for the second one. But I do want it to show as a percentage. And so I go here, show values as no calculations, and then I choose percent of grand total. And that gives me the percent of the grand total. And now things are starting to make sense that probably this Northwind Trader shop gets a lot of requests for beverages because we are seeing 43.48% leading the pack, followed by jams, preserves, and I forget what, no, the 7%, the dried fruits and nuts. We can certainly make a copy of this because it's easier. We don't have to recreate more pivot charts. I was an intern for Progressive Corporation, an insurance company, and tell you what, my manager wanted these pivot charts. So it's a very useful tool. Once you learn it, you can put it on your resume that you know how to make pivot charts. Then you can, having made copies, now you can decide not to just look at category, but you may want to also look at employee. So I'm going to take the category from here by dragging it, and then clicking on the employee and bringing it to the rows. And so now I have employee, and don't forget to quickly clean the title. We have, what else? We have We can do product and company as well. So we click here, remove category, and bring customer name. And we starting to create great tables that immediately is giving us a sense of how this corporation is doing. Again, drag the category. I'm repeating stuff so you can have the benefit of looking at stuff later on and being able to quickly retract these things. Now, you can do something called top 10%. Usually, the more your data set gets larger, you want to constrain it to top 10, top 5. And this table is a little longer than the rest. And so I'm going to constrain it to just top 5 or top 10. And it already gives me top 10. So I'll do top 10. And then there's a prompt by sum of sales. And then you see restrained. And when you count it, it's going to be just 10 items that you are viewing. So we've gone through pivot charts, repeated it for customer, category, employee, and product. So now, okay, got it. Okay, don't be mad. Create copies. I'll put demo. Okay, now you're going to make a copy of this sheet and you use move or copy. You right click the tab name, use move or copy. You do create a copy. You have to choose the one, it's create copies demo, and then check the create a copy box. And then you have the same thing repeated. Doing this allows the presentation to be more organized rather than doing all operations at once. That's why I'm taking my time to make copies as much as needed. And the next thing we are going to do is pivot charts. Pivot charts, as you can tell from the name of the other pivot tables, are charts that are based on pivot tables. And that's what we are going to do right now. So you click anywhere in one of your pivot tables, and then you click you don't click insert actually. If you have the right version of Excel, you should see pivot table tools, and there is analyze. And then when you click on analyze, you need to find pivot chart. And when you click on the pivot chart, it gives you an array of options. You can do column, line, pie chart, bar, area. There's a whole class on doing different charts. So I'm not going to get through all of that. But for now, I want the combo chart. And not just that, the combo chart will be a bar chart and a line series graph that plots the sum of sales by the sum of sales 2 that is in the percentage. So it shows you right here at the bottom, sum of sales will be a column and sum of sales number 2 will be a line. But I want to check here, I want it to be a secondary axis. A secondary axis allows 2 variables or 2 columns to have their own axes. And so I click on that and I click on OK. And just like that, I now have a chart. So you can already tell that while I eyeballed the values, the blue spike is for beverages. And the next one is probably jams and preserves. And so the visualization is already allowing you to see what you're supposed to see. And that's why executives love dashboards, because I don't have time to be at the ground level if I manage, like Honorable Inc. said, he manages 40 workforce, 40 employees. He doesn't have to go and talk to everyone to know how sales is going. he should be able to have a chart like this that quickly allows him to look at his numbers on a daily or weekly or monthly basis as he chooses. And these numbers start to really bring in the power of these things, of these dashboards. And so we'll continue more dashboards, pivot charts, column, combo, check secondary axis. Boom, we have another one. I'm dragging to make sure we get a better view of the graphs. And if it's too much, I will reduce it. And some of the design principles that you've learned today should even help you to do awesome design with dashboards. Then you have analyze, pivot. Again, the repetition is for your benefit. So you see this as many times, you are seeing it 4 times, and you are well on your way. Drag so we can see stuff a little clearer, and need to save so that when you email me, I can quickly send the dashboard and you can continue with the learning process. And then we have our 4 charts. Let's continue to adding slices and timelines. Adding slices, we make a copy of this, create pivot charts, create a copy. And now we have a copy, but we call it add slices and timeline demo. Again, it makes it cleaner. That's why I'm taking the trouble of copying things. And the slicers you get by, again, okay, so you select any pivot table. Let's select the first one, and then click on Analyze, click on Filter, and then it says Insert Slicer. And then you're going to check the slices you want this to go. And we are going to include category, product, customer, and the other one was employee. Slices sounds like, you know, bread slices. You have a slice and it's part of a whole. And so these slices really allow the executives to drill down or zoom in into different levels of that. So we have 4 slicers for our 4 pivot charts and 4. The thing we have to do is insert more rows so we have enough space to do. And the more you choose, or you get the double of whatever you select. So now I can pick the category slicer and resize it to what I want. I can pick the employee slicer and reshape it. I can click the product and resize it. I can click this and resize it as well. What does the slicer do? I'm glad you asked. So remember when we talked about beverages being the highest category? Immediately I do beverages. See, the thing has just zeroed in on beverages. And so beverages, I see the sales. I also see how it affects other tables. So that is the drill down capability that the slicers allow you. If you want to get rid of it, it's this funnel icon with the red X button, and then it checks off. Let's say I want to see Andrew Sencini's drill down and their employee. I do the same thing, and it brings this out. Then there is product. If I want to look at beer, if I want to look at company D, and on it goes. Now, I may even say, I want a map or a timeline. That is also easy to do. I don't know if we have the time, but let me quickly see. I will click on this pivot table, click on Insert, Analyze, and then where the slicer is next to it is the timeline. The only variables that qualify for timeline are dates, and that's why you only have the order date. And so I click on that, and boom, now I have a timeline. And so again, I can insert and create space at the top. At the top, and I can put my timeline so that if I want to see January, I just click on that. If I want to see February, that, March, it should be changing, but February, and then go back. Now there are many tools for doing dashboards. My personal favorite is Tableau, but Tableau has a cost and Excel is free. And we're partnering with Microsoft. So please, someone is off mute. Please go off mute. So we have our timeline also done. One of people's favorites is what we call, hold on, let me find a sales analysis, a map. People love maps in presentations. So let's see how we do a map. We just highlight the state and the region, and we go to insert. Maybe not insert, hold on. Let me look at my quick notes here. All right, I wish I would have gotten to show you some maps, but it will take time from the prompts that I saw, putting our workshop beyond its timeline. And I hope you've learned more about dashboards and how to organize your information quickly and to have drill down capabilities throughout your presentation. Thank you for the audience. And I think we are running into our closing moments for the entire program. Let me see, someone prompted me about what I could have been missing from the maps. I'm going to try again quickly, because I do want you to see a map. All right. So go back to the sales. Yes. And maps, what I couldn't see. And immediately we have a nice map. So I can grab a copy of it and take it to the art slicers and put our map somewhere here. Again, we'll have to create space for it. And don't forget about retitling your charts. It's very important. This can be a bigger map, and you can call it sales data by US sales, US states, sales data by USA states. And that's a little bit about dashboarding. You've learned a lot of presentation techniques. You have to somehow bring them all to your dashboard. And I tell you what, executives really love people who can build dashboards. So thank you for the audience, and Kwabena, thanks for the help with the map. Oh, I see the chat. All right. All right. Okay. Any questions? Hopefully this wasn't too over the top, but this was great. I enjoyed hanging out with you. Are there any others who joined later that will need to be introduced? But if not, we are at 1 minute and yay, we were on time and everything went great. And our presenters, the technology, this has been awesome. I've been fulfilled. Yes, show some emotions with your reactions in the final minute. Yay. Yay. All right. Have a good one and see you next 2 weeks for the hybrid series of workshops. It's gonna be power-packed. And don't forget hashtagging on social media as well. And Carla and Kobe, thank you for partnering with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, their comments are making me smile. Thank you.
Thank you all. See you on the 6th.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night. Good evening.
Night, 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 night.
Thanks, Deborah. Thanks, Nabia. Thanks, Carla. Yeah, we would. I'm going to end the meeting.
Good night. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Drew.
That was a good one. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Yes, don't forget to subscribe to Baobab. They helped us with social media alongside the Intifo group and 2112 charity. I think it's polite for me to be the last person to leave the room. So please drop off.
Okay, so I will drop. But you have something here. I wanted to ask something. I don't know if I'll call you on WhatsApp.
Yeah, we have to talk. I need to relax and then maybe tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So maybe when I wake up tomorrow. Yeah, something I want in your presentation you said I wanted to see how maybe I can benefit from it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So tomorrow maybe we'll talk about it. So bye-bye.
Bye.
Kobe, thank you very much for involving me in this thing. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, I'm going to drop the call. 1, 2, 3.